Everybody, welcome to Cream number 18. Thanks again for joining it. Hope you like it. If you like it, please spread the news on the Cream podcast as we try to spread this across the nation.
Jason, now on the Cream podcast, we're going to cover something that people are also hearing a lot of in the news. It's not recession and inflation, but a bear market. So you had a couple notes for us about bear markets.
Yes. Before we before we go deep into the facts about bear markets, let's give you the definition of bear markets. So what a bear market is when the stock market has declined 20% or more. Since the Great Depression, we have seen 22 bear markets, and the average duration has been 11 months, and the median of bear markets has been 8 months.
Wow. So 22 bear markets since the Great Depression. I think on average, they come every, what would you say, like 19 years or 12 years or something like that?
No. I think the average bear market, if that's the case, yeah, you would say maybe average 9 to 10 years. You look at the stats. Since that's been 90 years, we've seen them every 22. So we're looking at, because the numbers have changed. So we're looking at about every 4 to 5 years, we're seeing a bear market. 4
to 5 years. Okay. Thank you for correcting me. And so that sounds like bear markets are basically just part of the normal cycle of, market correction.
They are just nature of the beast.
All right, Jason, now on the Cream podcast, of course, you're a financial planner extraordinaire and part of the $1 Million Roundtable. And so you had from time to time some information for folks about products or services in the financial world that are really helping your clients now. So what did you want to share with us today?
Yeah, one thing I'm hearing a lot of people asking about and getting a lot of hoots and hollering is look at I-bonds, aka inflationary bonds. Right now, they're more attractive than ever. What they are is a bond. You could put up to $10,000 into them. You're getting higher rates than inflation. It is backed by the U.S. government. It's a 1-year bond. It changes from month to month, the rates, but as inflation goes up, your rate of return goes up. And is 100% guaranteed backed by the U.S. government. So consider looking at I-bonds for any savings vehicles, any money you're not going to use for a while. Consider I-bonds.
Jason, now on the Cream podcast, one of my favorite segments, your shout out of the podcast. So what or who would you like to shout out?
I want to give a shout out to Boston, Massachusetts, the great city of Boston. I was out there for $1 Million Roundtable. I went around, had a great time. Nobody gave me a hard time about my Golden State Warriors NBA champions.
Oh, no, you didn't. Did you like wear a t-shirt and a hat and something like that?
I said C.R.E.A.M could cook better than anybody in Boston.
Oh my God. Oh, you're killing me.
I didn't wear that shirt, but I did wear my Golden State stuff. But you guys were a great charm, great food, great energy, beautiful city with a lot of history. So I would give a shout out to Boston for, taking care of me while I was out there for the $1 Million Roundtable.
That's fantastic. Yeah, Boston's a great city, and especially when the weather is decent. But tell us about the $1 Million Roundtable, because that's quite an accomplishment.
Yeah, so $1 Million Roundtable is a worldwide organization. It has the top 1% of financial advisors, not just in the United States, in the world. So when I was there, I met people from Hungary, from Singapore, from Japan, the Philippines, from Mexico, from Jamaica, throughout the whole world, who was advisors. It was a fantastic event. I learned so much on strategies, planning, and ideas with those people. It was really good. It was interesting. I felt like I was in the United Nations. When you listen to a radio station and you have to put the earplugs in because they spoke a different language than me, it was a great experience. And I can't wait to go back next year when it goes to the beautiful city of Nashville, Tennessee. But it's one of the top, it's one of the most top distinguishing associations when it comes to financial advisors in the world.
That's amazing. Yeah. Congratulations. That's quite an accomplishment.
Thanks, man. What's interesting is that there are supposed to be 5,000 more people from China, and China, they couldn't come because of China lockdowns to the United States. 5,000 people from China. So it was a lot of people there, but it was not as many as it normally is with people from China not able to come to the States for it.
Yeah, so there it is, $1 Million Roundtable. Jason Matthews is a member for many years now, quite an accomplishment, and just talks to how good you are as a financial planner. So thanks, Jason.
Yes, sir. I want to give a shout out to a great restaurant I went to recently. My friend Brian Mouton opened up his new food, Mr. Flips. I love the lobster, love the crab and the catfish and the garlic noodles. If you haven't had a chance, if you're in Oakland, it's a real Oakland official restaurant. Check out Mr. Flips. The fried lobster tail is fantastic. I'm telling you, check out Mr. Flips. Me and my family went there the other day. It was great. That sauce he had on the food was fantastic.
Man, now we need to end this podcast because now you got me hungry talking about Mr. Flips. So,
oh man, it's time for dinner now. I have to get hungry myself. I might have to go by there on my way home.
So let's circle back again with the economy. We talked about inflation, and hopefully inflation has peaked and things start to inch their way down. We'll definitely see about that. But what do you think for the average person on the street? Right now employment's great, but everything is costing, and for the first time now, inflation has way outpaced wage growth. So that curve is inverted. So what do you think is going to happen in the next couple of years for the average person?
I think the average person, if we don't control inflation, is going to be harder for them to survive. They'll have to figure out and be more creative on how they survive. But I think the person who have assets that are fixed as much as possible, maybe they're a homeowner, maybe it has assets that give them cash flow, is going to be okay. While the average working class person is going to struggle more right now.
Like really struggle.
Yeah, like really struggle. If you spend all your COVID money in PPP or you didn't get any of your COVID numbers or unemployment, extra relief, you're having a hard time right now with the increase of food prices, with the increase of gas prices. So you're having a hard time right now. Maybe your quality of life has drastically diminished over the last year.
Yeah, and as we know about Americans, that's one thing they don't tolerate. So what becomes the catch-all is debt, right?
Mm-hmm.
As we've seen, they don't stop spending. They need color TVs and brand new cars and this and that, but they're $6 lattes and whatever else, eating out and vacations and everything. But already we're seeing the effects of prices going up and the economy maybe restricting, and people are starting to rack up debt at pretty high levels again. All right, when it comes to debt, credit cards are definitely making a comeback. Do you have that stat in front of you, Jason?
Parts to survive inflation right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. And so people, don't want to stop spending. So, let me get a card. Let me it's just a slippery slope, right? It starts, let me put that restaurant meal. Pretty soon you look up and you've used it and it's maxed out and you move on to the next card. But as you know, not only is getting more cards, taking out more accounts, more personal loans, all these things dangerous, racking them up and maxing them out is incredibly dangerous. But what happens to those cards and those interest rates when the Fed keeps pushing rates up, huh?
Exactly. Remember that all credit cards are variable rate, so they can go up. And I think people feel like credit cards are fixed rates. In reality, they're a variable rate, or sometimes they might give her a teaser rate and we forget. If we don't pay it off, rates will drastically go up. Interest rates will go up.
And so people may, they think their mortgage got more expensive with rates these days. They may see their minimum payment doubling, when they max out their card or something or whatever it is. But it's going to be a lot. And then, this may be shades of post 2008 when you have people with massive amounts of credit card debt, can't pay it off, consumer credit counseling, debt settlement, bankruptcy, all of that may become prevalent again. I don't see a big crash or any crisis with distressed properties in the real estate market coming for the reasons we outlaid, but I definitely see the debt cycle being problematic in coming years.
Right. And I think I saw something the other day that car foreclosures or cars that are behind on their payment are up.
That's a big one, right? Because people behind the mortgage, the auto loan is probably the biggest loan, aside from student loan debt, is probably the biggest one for a lot of households.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Now, please enjoy part 2 of Jason's interview with Tanesha Brown about our local and national real estate market. Please note that this interview is conducted just before interest rates went way up, so some of it is a little bit out of context, but we think you'll get a lot out of this interview with her. Thanks so much for listening.
So you got me thinking about it. I know we're going off topic. What price point do you see that's bringing the most opportunities for buyers right now? Is it more in the luxury market? Is more the middle of the road, lower? Where do you see the most opportunities at right now?
I'm seeing the most opportunities anything below 700,000 right now here in California is probably the most opportunity. And you know, what's funny is that we always, in a normal market, we always see more inventory out there when you were asking about buyers being more picky. I just think now buyers are having more options, right? So before, for example, in San Jose, a property I put on at the time that we ran numbers and we were preparing the home to go on market, there were only 3 homes on the market. We were the only 1-story house on the market. But by the time we went to market and did our first open house, 2 weeks later, there were 12 homes that had just come on the market. So now that changed the dynamics of where we were. So where we thought we were going to get an offer 200,000 above, we had to readjust and say, okay, we just need a good offer because they had already purchased another property in Nevada, right? And so I think just watching that shift, it's been there all the time. We've always known the Feds are going to go up on the interest rates, but now we're starting to see that impact on the market. So the buyers do have a lot more to pick from, so they can be a little more picky about where they're going to place an offer.
Got it. And where do you see the real estate market going in the next 12 to 18 months? Especially here in California.
I definitely feel like here in California, we're going to see it stabilize. I think we'll probably see values not so much decrease, but those folks that were being unrealistic when they were listing, like I think you have to really pay attention and say, if the interest rates continue to rise, selling at this high price point may not be advantageous. It may be better to price a little bit below market so that you can get some of that interest in your property if you're looking to sell, right? And buyers too, be smart about that and know, hey, the market is shifting. Look for those homes that have been on the market for 30 days, 28 days. If they've been on for 28 days, more likely they're going to be doing a reduction within the next 7 to 10 days from that date. I think in the next 12 to 18 months, I think, honestly, you know, if I had a crystal ball, I'd be a rich lady right now.
Right. We all would be. We all be a lot of winners, right?
But you know, it makes me think about, Jason, we had spoke maybe about in 2019. I think 2019, 2018, I said, the market is just going to take off. It's going to go. And we were like, no,
2020.
Was it 2020?
It was 2020, like, right when COVID first hit. I remember exactly.
Yes. Man, do you know how many people that was their best year selling real estate was during COVID? And even whether pandemic or not, we still did not have enough inventory. But then the pandemic created this whole staycation search. Let me find that house where I can be on vacation, but be at home at the same time. We saw that in urban areas where people were in high density housing, that they were looking to move into the suburbs, right? Where they could have space and they're not riding in the elevator. They're not going to be subject to COVID. But then we see that shift now. It's 2022. Remember, Google gave so many people an opportunity to work from home for the last 2 years. And now we're seeing some of those companies bring people back into the office. And so now you have that transition taking place where they're like, no, now that everyone wants to look for a remote job and be able to work from home. So there's so many variables contributing to this. It's really just hard to pinpoint where will we be the next 12 to 18 months. I saw that Compass just announced this morning they're going to lay off 10% of their staff.
What?
Yes. And Redfin's stocks just dropped. They're dropped down by 70% from their peak. So if you are not paying attention to what's happening on those high levels, because it's all going to trickle down, and we're seeing that transition for sure.
Got it. So during this market, I'm a buyer or I'm a seller. What are things that I should look for in finding a real estate agent in this market?
I love those questions. Listen, you want to find the agent that suits your needs and relates and is listening, like asking all of the right questions for what it is that you're needing and wanting in a home. You know, a lot of times people will be approved for, let's say you got approved, Jason, you're looking to buy a property, you're approved for 700,000. I'm going to ask you, are you comfortable with that payment at 700,000? And with the rise in rates, and we know like every quarter we're going up a certain percentage, sometimes twice a quarter. So let's kind of find a soft spot so that we don't max you out, but make it so that you're very comfortable in that property. So as you're looking for an agent, select an agent that is listening to your needs and your wants, and they're responding to you, and they know the market, they know how to write a great offer for you. And feel free to ask for references as well. I always provide clients at least 2 to 3 phone numbers of my past clients, and they're welcome to ask every question about me. There's full transparency. So, get that agent that's addressing your needs and responds quickly, because in this market, it's about response time.
Nice. And my last question for you would be is, especially here in Northern California, are you seeing a lot more people moving out of state? Or do you think it has dampened or softened and now people are deciding to stay here? What do you see? What's happening?
I am seeing a lot of people move out of state. Yeah. I would say over just the last 30 days, 3 of our clients have relocated out of state. And it seems our relocation alone, I think, I forget what the numbers, I think we're like above 100 relocation outbound where people are leaving California. They're following tech, right? They're going to Texas, they're going to Nevada, they're going to Georgia. They're following the big businesses that were here in California, as you know, like the Teslas, HP, all of these large companies that are opening in other states where they have better tax benefit. In addition, I'm seeing a lot of the folks that are retiring that just don't want to pay that high level of property tax that we have here in California. I'm seeing a lot of them leaving the state as well. But then you still have that, like I said, we need 5 million properties to sell to people, right? For those buyers that are out there still looking. Inventory is short, supply and demand is short. And so there's still, you look at builders, I have some clients, the home is supposed to be ready in April. The home is not going to be ready till August. And that is because the garage doors were on a 4-month back order for the brand new garage doors for this builder. And so I think there's still that whole, even though we have this mass exodus out of California, we still have a lot of people here in California that need housing. You ride through some neighborhoods and they have their garage open, you see the kitchen in the garage, you got a bedroom in the garage. I mean, we have multiple families living together, saving money, trying to position themselves so that they can purchase. So, yeah. That's
really good to know. I really do appreciate that. If people want to get in contact with you to ask some questions about real estate, how can they contact you?
Oh, thank you for that. Feel free to call me at 408-829-5815. Feel free to text. I respond to text messages as well. And I'm happy to answer any questions, whether you're buyer, seller, investor, it's all the same. And happy to talk real estate.
Perfect. Thank you so much for on the podcast, just giving this insight during this crazy time in the world that we're going through. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Jason. Always appreciate you. Have a great day.
You too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Hey, thank you once again for listening to episode number 18 of the C.R.E.A.M podcast. Cash rules everything around me. If you got something from this, you thought it was fantastic, share it with your friends, post it on Facebook, post it on Instagram, and anywhere else where people might listen to. Once again, C.R.E.A.M, dollar bills, y'all.